How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Living the dream, baby. All right. We have an amazing listener question.
I'm so excited.
Alicia asked if you were three beverage girly, was I'm guessing isn't something on the internet I should know about. What would your three be? That's like when, because you have like a bunch of cups at your desk, right? That's a three beverage girly.
I am a three beverage girly.
Yeah, you are, right? What are your three beverages? I'm embarrassed to say mine.
Coffee's number one,
Yes.
first and foremost. Okay, I really like these like coconut waters.
Oh yeah, those are good. Those ones you have. What's that
They're
brand? Do you have one? We should promote them.
I think it's like 100 coconuts or something.
It's real. It's like probably definitely the
It's-
best coconut water ever.
It is so good. So I would have that.
We are not being paid for this. We should ask them a sponsor though.
We should immediately.
Like when
because
Podcast Nation is like, what products do you guys use to get them to sponsor?
we're like, I don't know.
The coconut water.
Okay, let's figure that out.
Coffee, coconut water.
You know, and my last one, you're probably going to laugh at me. Regular water.
That feels like a lie.
Well, because this is who I want to be, I guess.
Yeah. No.
Okay, can I say something else? If I'm at brunch on a Sunday, though,
it's a mimosa.
Orange juice.
I feel like I've been with you many times when you've ordered orange juice. You love orange juice.
If I'm getting eggs, I need orange juice.
Really? I don't like orange juice.
I just only if it's actually, yeah, it might be all orange juice, but like fresh squeezed, you know?
All right. Mine's worse because mine's coffee, water, and Diet Coke. And I'm sorry, I'm a girl of the 90s. My mom drank diet soda her whole life. It's what I got into. And now I'm addicted to aspartame.
Listen, I was really scared that you were going to say Celsius, so I'm just proud of you.
No, I kicked the habit. I haven't had Celsius in forever. I kicked it.
Yesterday, you said, I'm going to drink.
But I didn't. I was like, I'm going to drink 3 Celsius for this event, but I didn't.
But she did it. And that's what matters.
And I didn't even buy any.
Wow. I'm proud of you.
But I had that Diet Coke.
There you go. I just think, I hope Celsius doesn't come after me. I just think it's going to explode your heart, you know?
Oh, no. That shit's got to be fucking poison.
Yes. It's going to be like a Four Loko situation.
Oh, I love the original Four Lokos. Okay. Today's episode. Taking responsibility for your emotions when you have reactive tendencies. Did somebody write this about me? Is this about me? I'm just wondering.
Do you think that someone just like wrote it in?
I think Nikki was like, what's some shit that we can do for Emily's crazy fucking ass? And it's this.
It's good. No,
Nikki.
You know what I think it is? I think a lot of people relate to that. I think there's a lot of relating.
It's just that I'm so relatable.
You're so relatable. Sometimes Nikki will put up, you're not on Instagram, so you can't see this. So sometimes Nikki will put up, like recently she put up a video where like I'm talking about the way I react and you talk about the way you react. And it's like, there's like a poll, like, who are you like more? And so many people are saying you.
Really?
Yes.
What's my percentage?
Oh, look.
How many percentage? See, this is the shit I miss on the internet.
Exactly.
I want to know who's an Emily. Remember? Yeah, we used to be like, I'm a Carrie. I'm a Miranda.
Who are you?
I'm an Emily.
I'm an Emily. There's also somewhere in the middle. So it's pretty split.
Did I get 43%?
You let me look.
You won, didn't you?
Yeah. But here's another thing. I also think people are less likely to admit when they're more reactive.
Yeah, because it's not a good thing. Like, I'm saying this to be honest and have humility. Like, I'm not like proud of this. This is who I am. I'm not so like good. Sitting here like, oh my God, look at me. I'm so great. I'm like, yeah, this shit's embarrassing. and here we are.
And listen, I think, you know, we talk about it in kind of these like polar opposites, but like you could be on one and like switch to the other.
I
You
mean,
know,
there
like
are certain times that I'm shut down for sure. Like I am
and
not,
there's certain
yeah.
times where I'm reactive. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. She's looking at me. If you're not watching this on YouTube, she's looking at me.
I feel like you're reactive, like, well, you're like reactive, like one for every like 30,000 I am.
Yeah, and by reactive, I mean like outwardly reactive. I'm more so like,
Yes.
yes.
Yes. No, yeah. But I mean, like, yeah. Like big
Saying shit.
feelings. Yeah.
Big
Saying
feelings.
shit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the reaction. All right. So first listener question. I'll react and then I'll feel so guilty for my reaction. Why does this happen and how to stop? This is the cycle, right? So have a big reaction, feel shame for the reaction. Often, because of our shame, we then martyr and placate. And then we're resentful. And then we have a reaction. And then we have shame for a reaction. And then we martyr and placate. And then we're resentful. And that is the ongoing cycle. So that might not be your exact cycle. That's an example of one that's very, very common for people with big reactivity. And it happens because specifically for women, we are taught to be so shameful of anything that's not fawning and placating. And so, one, I think that there is the socially constructed idea about feelings and what we should be doing with feelings. They can bring up a lot of shame. And guilt and shame like to hang out together. And they're so common, especially for women. We stop it by one, not giving ourselves the complete fucking shame spiral when it does occur. And if we do experience a shame spiral, not using that to then placate, martyr, and do whatever the other behavior is. Right? It is okay to react and apologize. I have had to get very good at apologizing.
That's the piece of it, right? Like, of
Yeah.
like taking responsibility,
Accountability for everything.
and accountability.
Yep.
And I think so quickly, right? When there's some sort of shame spiral, it can be like, oh, like, woe is me. I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm, you know, like that kind of thing, as opposed to just being like, I made a mistake, right? And
Now here's
this
a question.
Yeah.
Because you react, but
Yeah.
yours, once again, is not my type of reaction.
Yeah.
You don't end up apologizing the way I have to, right?
No.
Oh, that's nice for you.
I think because
That idea.
I think because, right, when you're reacting and you're like, you're yelling or you're saying something, it can hurt the other person in a way that's like more like outwardly present in the relationship. Where if you're shutting down, right, like it can be like, okay, you're not engaging with me, which can be hurtful. But when that's not like brought to the surface, when it's just like, okay, this conversation's over. Like when I am apologizing, I'm typically apologizing when I am more reactive. Like, I forget when this happened, maybe a few weeks ago, but like, I think I was in a rush to like get to a meeting, like on my computer.
Yeah.
And I had to like run down and do something. And when I was doing that, like Bill said something to me and I like snapped at him because I was like stressed.
Yeah.
And so I ran upstairs, did my meeting. And then right after the meeting, I was like, hey, I'm really sorry for snapping at you. I was really stressed.
Yeah.
So like, it's when I am like outwardly snapping.
You remember you said something passive aggressive to me a few months ago and you had to apologize?
Yes.
That was the best because that never happens. It's always me.
Also, like while I was telling that story, your face was like, you were like elated. See, I'm not always shut down. Like,
she's not perfect, folks.
She's not perfect. Also, like shutting down is also a reaction.
It's just like a socially appropriate one. Nobody calls you crazy.
Yes. I mean,
right?
like,
They're like, Jen, look at Jen. She's so calm, cool, and collected and stable.
Not always.
No. Well,
she's
stable. Yeah, stable, I would say rarely.
But there are times where I'm not calm, cool, and
Yes.
collected.
Yeah. Either. Right.
And you
But
know why? It's because I'm human.
that humanity will really kill you, won't it?
It really does.
It really will come for you.
But I think like that kills me. Like if I do react and I like the shame that I have is like so horrific.
Yeah, I don't have as much distress tolerance around it because it doesn't
No.
happen to you that much.
Right. And so I like cannot handle it. And so I'm like, and I think that's why I shut down so much
Yeah.
as opposed to react because it is really hard. So anyway, enough talking about ourselves, but like if this is, if
Isn't that the
this,
point of the show?
yeah, I'm not sure. If this, so I would ask yourself, like, where do you fall on that? And like when you feel guilty, right? Like the guilt and the shame is a signal that like, okay, you could change something, right? Or you can be more aware of something. So that you can make sure that you take care of it and so that you're not reacting in the way you're reacting or like hurting people. So I think that that's important to recognize is like, what's the shame telling me? Is it, or what's the guilt telling me? I think so often with the shame spiral, you go into like, I'm such a piece of shit. I'm a bad person. Like that is not helpful for you.
It's so drastic what the shame spiral does.
Right.
I deserve nothing in life.
Right. Like, why do we go there? Right. Like, so I think that that's maybe really important to remember is that like, you're not a piece of shit because you reacted. You're a human being. You made a
So drastic.
mistake. It's so drastic. Why do we go there? But you're a human being. These things happen. And I think when you go into I'm a piece of shit, it doesn't give you the space to like learn what happened or like learn why that came up or like where that was coming from for you to be able to make changes for the future. Because
Yeah.
if you just chalk it up to I'm a piece of shit, no one should be friends with me. I shouldn't be allowed to speak. Then
Oh,
they're
extreme.
so extreme. But there's no space for growth and
Yeah.
there's no space for movement. And so your apology is not going to do anything because you're not going to grow from that experience. So
Yeah.
I would ask yourself, like, what are you saying to yourself about like when that happens? And is that actually helpful for you? Isn't there another way you can talk to yourself about that reaction that can actually help you grow and learn from that experience?
Which brings us to another amazing question, which is somebody said how to genuinely apologize when this happens. I always wish I could take it back. So for me, an apology looks like this. I'm so sorry that I said or that I did right? I take exact ownership for what I do. Here is what I wish I did differently. And here's what I will do next time, or what I hope to do next time.
Yes.
Right? Take actual ownership. Here's what is not a genuine apology. Oh, I'm sorry I made you freak out.
I'm sorry you felt that way.
I'm sorry you felt that way, right? Like, so like taking actual ownership of what you did and then saying to someone, here's what I wish I did differently. Here's what would have been a better way to communicate that with you. And here's what I would like to try next time.
Yeah. And your tone really does matter also with your apologies.
If it like feels like you're like forced to do it, right? Like, well,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
It's like when you have to like call like, a boomer out on sometimes like some shit. Like people say this a lot about like their moms.
Yes. And I'll be like, oh, sorry, I was such a terrible mother.
Like, wow, really extreme. But like how many people have experienced that, right? Like, oh God, I'm sorry, I'm so horrible. I'll never come around again.
Right.
The fuck,
Not
no one said
helpful.
that.
As opposed to, hey, like I understand that some of the things that I did growing up, when you were growing up wasn't helpful for you. And I can acknowledge that. And I also acknowledge like how that impacted you.
Yeah.
It's completely different as a mother,
Yeah.
I'm just using the mother example. To really acknowledge like how the other person may have been affected, whether the intention was there or not. right? I think that that's a really important thing to remember.
Yes.
You know, I would like to think like we're all really well intentioned and like we don't want to hurt other people, but like we just do. That's part
Yeah.
of relationships. It does
Well,
not mean you're a horrible person.
and if you find yourself that you do want to hurt someone, you know what I mean? Like, listen, like sometimes that happens. Like, what if it's like, okay, I want to upset them, I want to hurt them, they hurt me. I think it's important to really look at that. I don't think that the intent is always that, but sometimes the intent is that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I would say, like, even if you didn't intend to hurt someone, I think so often people are like, well, I didn't mean that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. And so, like, you're not, it's almost saying like you're not allowed to be hurt because that's not what I meant. Right. Where you can say, like, I in no way meant to hurt you. And at the same time, I can also acknowledge that that did hurt you. And I will absolutely make sure that I am more careful and I do not say anything like that ever again. And I really am genuinely sorry.
Yeah.
Like that we're so quick to just put intention into it to defend ourselves doesn't take away from what has already happened.
Yeah. Should I apologize in the moment or after once my emotions have cooled down? If you can apologize in the moment, if you can catch the bullet and call it out, I think that's incredible. A lot of folks can't do that. So here's what I would say. It's never a bad time for an apology.
Beautiful. Period.
Period.
Yeah, I think if you can just how we're expressing like to apologize.
Yeah.
If you're able to genuinely apologize,
Not catty passive aggressive
not
apology.
catty passive aggressive, like, well, sorry, well, whatever, sorry. I just want
Yeah.
this to end, right? Like if you're just doing it because you want it to end or you want it to, you want to placate or you're like, if you can really genuinely apologize in the moment in a non-reactive way, which some people can, right? Like
Yeah.
some people can go from like reactive to not reactive very quickly. Um, then
Not me.
then
I'd like that skill.
absolutely do it. But this is another time in which we say like knowing yourself and knowing like what you need in order to get to that place um, is really important. And if you're someone who maybe takes a little bit of time, you can let the other person know like, hey, I do want to come back to you and like acknowledge this and I want to talk about this. I just need a little bit of time to like
Yeah.
cool off. Like let them know.
Yeah. I mean, so this sort of goes into someone else had said how to acknowledge I messed up when I'm still fuming because I know I'll realize they're right later. So what if you say I'm really fuming? I don't think I am thinking totally clear right now. And I think I might be overreacting and I'm going to come back to this later.
And right. And you could say, I'm sure you're right. I just need a little bit of time to like
Yes.
process this.
Right? Like you don't have to like get into a whole thing. You can say like I am aware. Like I have to be able to say like I'm aware that I'm really activated right now and I am not able to have a good conversation around this.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said that too. I am really anxious this week. And so like I'm like really having a hard time processing what we're talking about. Like I'm having a hard time staying like as someone who shuts down, I have to be very aware of like when I'm really anxious about like other things or because if my husband brings up like a difficult conversation about something, I have to say to him like I'm feeling really anxious. It's really hard for me to talk about this right now. Like I have
Yeah.
to be very clear about where I am emotionally because it's harder for me to like stay in the conversation. And if he doesn't know that, if he doesn't know where I am and he keeps trying to have the conversation with me, then I am further shutting down and then he's getting frustrated because he sees me shutting down,
Yeah.
right? And so it ends up being very cyclical. So if I am aware of where I am emotionally in that space, to be very communicative about it so that he knows where I am is really important. Hmm. You go. You go. I saw your mouth. You were ready.
I was going to say, how can I know when my wound is speaking versus my authentic self? Were you going to pick that one too?
No, I was going to pick a different one.
Okay. Which one do you want to do first?
You want, let's do that one
good.
first.
All right. How can I know when my wound is speaking versus my authentic self? So typically our wounds are reactive. Typically our wounds are pressured or scared or highly emotional, right? And so my authentic self, the voice might shake, but it knows what to say. And so I think saying, how do I feel after I say this? When it's our authentic self talking, we typically feel like, you know what, like, I'm glad I said that. I might be a little scared right now, but I don't regret what I said. Often, if it's a wound, afterwards, I can feel anxious or embarrassed or ashamed or even more angry. And so, how do I feel after I say the thing?
It's such a good way to pinpoint it. And I love what you said about like our wounds are like emotional, right? They're reactive
Yeah. Because they hurt.
because
They're
they hurt.
saw. Saw.
Exactly.
I was going to say
Saw.
sore versus raw, and it came out of
They're
saw.
saw. They're saw.
Why does that happen when you just like combine words? Like you have like the
Yeah.
wrong word retrieval. What is that?
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
sometimes your brain's moving faster than your mouth.
Wow. That's the story of my fucking life.
Okay. This is the one I was going to pick. You ready? Working through when you want others to feel slash understand the hurt that you're feeling.
Mm.
Um, I just want to ask, I guess, this person some questions of like, what would that mean for you that other people really feel or understand how you're feeling? Like, what would that do for you? Um, how are you attempting to help them feel or understand the hurt that you're feeling? Um, because I think so often, like since we're talking about, being reactive, we so badly want someone to hear us and sit with us in our pain that we are kind of emotionally dumping. And we think, well, the more that I dump, the more I express myself, the more they're going to be able to understand and really hear how I'm feeling. Um, when that's not necessarily the case. Someone can sit by you in your pain and feel kind of what you're feeling or understand that you're in pain. Someone doesn't have to feel exactly what you're feeling in order to be able to be there for you. And I would also ask like is there, a inner child for you that is begging to be heard and
Mm.
understood? Is there an inner child that never felt like they were heard or understood? And how might that be playing out in your
Mm.
relationships now? Um, because, just my understanding of this question is was there a younger version of you that maybe was yelling out for help or like needed someone to hear them and they never got those needs met? And so what we do is we try to heal those wounds in our relationships now. But sometimes the way in which we try to heal those wounds actually ends up hurting our relationships. If we're screaming, if we're emotionally dumping, if we're like, I need you to hear every single thing I'm feeling. And so, what I would say to this is, I want you to ask your inner child, what is it that if someone really understood me, if a parent really understood me and heard my pain, what would I have received from them that would have been helpful and comforting to me?
Yeah.
What am I really looking for? Because it isn't helpful for someone else to be in just as much pain as you or to be struggling just as much as you are. That someone can sit with you in your pain and not have to feel it in order to be able to be there for you. So that's what I would say is like ask yourself, what is it that I'm really looking for? What is it that I really need in these moments?
Yeah. Okay. How to manage your emotions when the other person hurts your feelings. Your feelings being hurt is still everything you feel is valid, right? And is actually not your fault. What we feel just happens. But 100% your responsibility is how you react to that. So if someone else hurting you or feeling hurt from someone else leads you to have a high reaction, that shit's still on you. So when you say how to manage those emotions, what are my distress tolerance and my coping and self-soothing skills? And if I cannot name them right now, you need to develop them more.
Yes.
Anything to
Yes.
add? No.
No, it's just so good. No, developing those distress tolerance skills. Didn't we do a whole episode on this? Sometimes we do episodes and we completely forget.
Yes.
I think we did an
Definitely.
entire episode on distress tolerance skills.
Yes.
She's saying that, but she's not sure. I'm pretty sure we did.
Feels familiar. It's been 5 years. There's been a lot of episodes. I feel like there's every flavor at this
Every
point.
flavor, 100%. So we definitely did an episode on distress tolerance. If we didn't, we'll do an episode on distress tolerance again.
Nikki's gonna be like, yeah, you
It's like,
dum-dums.
yeah, it was literally like a month ago.
Wait for that, like, could totally be true.
I know, which is scary.
Probably was not 5 years ago. It was probably like
1
5
month
weeks
ago.
ago.
Yeah. But developing your distress tolerance is so important, not just for your own coping, but for your relational health. And that's what we're speaking to, is like your ability to tolerate your own emotions in the face of stress within your relationship is really essential. And I think couples get stuck a lot where one partner is trying to express themselves, and maybe they're not doing it in a way that is helpful to the relationship. They say something, the other partner gets hurt, then the other partner is trying to express their feelings. And, everyone is just trying to get their feelings heard and understood, as opposed to saying, well, I am going to regulate my own emotions, and then I'm going to bring them to the relationship and we're going to talk through them. We're going to talk through, hey, this really hurt me. Is there a different way that we can express this or talk about this? So both partners really need distress tolerance skills, because it is essential to the health of your relationship with yourself and with other people.
Yeah. What's an example of a boundary I can set for someone who always does this to me? They always apologize, but the behavior never changes.
Great question.
That's a great question.
My first thought is, hey, listen, you talk to them at a time in which they're not reactive.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, this keeps happening over and over again. You keep apologizing, saying it's going to change, and it doesn't change. And so, can we talk about how you're actually working on this? What are you actually doing? If this doesn't change, I'm going to have to make some changes. Whether that's, I'm going to leave the house when this happens again. And I'm going to let you know, because this is happening again, I'm going to leave the house. Like, I'm going to have to start setting some physical boundaries.
Yeah. Where
I go upstairs or this. So you need to start setting maybe stricter boundaries. If the person will not make changes for themselves, you might need to start setting stricter boundaries for yourself and letting them know, and also figuring out, like, where's your line? If this never changes, is that a problem for you? And if it's a problem for you, what do you want to do about it? So at some point, the onus does fall on you of, if this isn't going to change, if the person's unwilling to change, if they're not making any steps to make any changes, then the onus then falls on you of, like, well, what kind of boundaries do you want to put in place? And is this really working for you if the changes aren't going to happen?
Yeah. Is the word you're saying onus or onus? I've never understood that.
I think it's onus.
Like, I own this. Like, I got to own this decision.
Now you're making me question myself.
I'm not judging you. I genuinely don't know what the fuck is being said, is why I'm asking.
Onus.
How do you spell that?
OWNNESS.
Oh, but
This
it's like I own this behavior, right? Like it's
onus, the state of belonging to oneself.
wow, that is actually an amazing
That's
word.
beautiful. The word onus, it's too much information. A radical form of self mastery. I'm going to get this tattooed on my body.
Holy shit.
Onus is a concept of self ownership or self mastery. Wow. I'm getting this tattooed, or maybe on my forehead. Should we get onus
Wow, I
tattoos?
didn't know that's what the definition was.
You're welcome.
Wow, it's really changing a lot of things today. Maybe that's what this episode should be called. Okay. Um um Okay, somebody said, how do I do this with my child? I don't know if they're asking if their child does it or if they react towards their child. So I'm going to speak to the reacting towards your child.
Mhm.
You should always apologize to your child when you misbehave. Your child deserves an apology. I do not care how young or small someone is. We need to take onus. Onus.
Onus. Beautiful.
But the best change for your child is for you to change your shit and behavior. And if you are continuously struggling with managing your emotions, you need to fix that more than taking the responsibility. Take the responsibility too.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you have to go a step further and say, I cannot do this to my child anymore.
You're also modeling apology for your
Oh
child,
my
which I
gosh,
think is
yes.
so wonderful. And you're also modeling humanness to your
Mhm.
child, right? Like, like sometimes mom reacts, sometimes. And so, but yes, I just love what you said of like, it is your responsibility to also apologize to your child
Yeah.
and take ownership. Onus. It's never gonna say it forever.
All right.
Uh,
Dear Emma
you
Jen,
you want me to do it? You got it.
you know that your voice is nicer. I'll do it.
No, okay,
I'm going
yeah.
to try to use your voice. Dear Emma Jen. It's a whisper. Dear Emma Jen, I love your podcast again. I love your podcast. It has helped me immensely. I've been having insecurities in my dating life, which has made me lack confidence. I feel like finding a romantic partner that suits my life and wants me back is impossible. I'm confident, I'm successful, independent, and I have a lot of love to offer. But I feel like maybe I'm not interesting enough or outgoing enough. I'm more quiet and reserved and struggle with social anxiety. I had this guy I was in love with that wouldn't commit to me, and I was just hoping he eventually would. This situationship dragged on for a year and a half to 2 years. He said he wouldn't commit because he just didn't want a relationship and need to work on himself, but just ended up in a relationship with a girl who looks like me but is extroverted, wears cool clothes, and her very public profile made me think she's so much cooler. I just want someone to love me for me, and I can't fake being someone I'm not. But this made all my insecurities come up. I wish I could be more outgoing, fun, and unique. This is even more difficult for me because I'm almost 35 and I feel like I'm going to have to make the difficult choice of being a single mom so I don't miss out on having children. Anyways, I guess I don't even know what I'm asking. Possibly, how do I love me for me and gain more confidence in myself instead of wishing I was this outgoing person that I never will be?
First of
Uh,
all,
Let's hang out.
sending,
We
yeah,
love
let's
you.
hang out. Sending you so much love. The first thing I want to say is heartbreak is really painful. I'm going to first say that. So often when we're going through some sort of heartbreak that wasn't our decision, it is so easy to start to blame ourselves of like, what could I have done differently? Um, should I have done something different? Should I be someone different? Um, it's a way in which we try to control the pain that we're in or protect ourselves from experiencing that pain. So, the first thing I just want to say is like, allow yourself to experience the pain that you're feeling from the heartbreak without attaching any meaning to it about who you are as a person.
Mm,
Rejection does not mean that something is wrong with you. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. But you're human. And I understand that, like, when you're going through heartbreak, it does bring all your insecurities up.
yeah.
You start to beat yourself up, you start to compare yourself to other people who, um, you see kind of in this relationship, and you're seeing her as, oh, I should have been more like that. But in the end, the heartbreak and the rejection doesn't mean a single thing about who you are as a person, because you are absolutely wonderful exactly as you are as an introvert. Extroverts are simply more celebrated in our society. They just are. That's a fact of life. I am an introvert and I feel this in my bones.
Oh, and I am
There's
totally celebrated as an extrovert. Like everyone's like, Emilee's
absolutely,
so fun to have around.
absolutely. And I have had to get very comfortable with my introverted self. There's actually an incredible book by, what is her name? You know, I'm not good at names. I think it's Susan Cain. It's called Quiet. Quiet, the Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. It talks about the really wonderful qualities about being introverted. And there are so many introverts out there that are doing incredible things, you know, are so introspective. There's so many incredible, wonderful things that come with being introverted. And so I understand that this heartbreak is bringing up a lot of your insecurities, but I want you to speak back to those insecurities. And I want you to talk yourself and nurture yourself through them to be able to say, I am wonderful exactly as I am. If you try to fight against your natural self, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
I will never be as extroverted as Emmalee. It is not going to happen.
No.
I've tried to be more social. I get anxiety. I hate it. I'm drained. I can't function. Do not force yourself to be someone that you're not. And in this, dear Em and Jen, you said, I just want someone to love me for me. The first step, and I know this is very cliche, and I'm not saying that someone can't love you if you don't love yourself, you know, that is not what I'm saying, but it's going to be really important for you to accept every single aspect of yourself. And if you have been with someone for a year and a half or 2 years that was not committing to you, then of course you're feeling insecure.
Yes.
But this person does not dictate how you should feel about yourself. And you will find someone who will love you for the introverted person that you are.
And mainly, we love you.
And we love you. Be your introverted self. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Shrink Chicks.
We'll see you back here next week for another session.
In the meantime, if you want a question answered or a topic discussed, follow us on Instagram at ShrinkChicks. And if you're looking to get connected with a therapist like us to start or continue your therapeutic journey, visit thetherapygroup.com. Just fill out a contact form on our website, and we will personally match you with one of our amazing therapists. And for all of our therapists and group practice owners out there, we also offer group practice consulting.
And if you're looking to support yourself further and support our show, check out our amazing merch options at shrinkchicks.com/merch and our Know Yourself, Grow Yourself journal on Amazon. Also, if you'd be so kind, we'd love a rating review and for you to share with a friend or an enemy or a mother-in-law, honestly, whoever needs it, so that we can keep reaching more people on our mission to bring mental health topics to your ears every week.
Thanks for being here with us. And don't forget, to grow yourself, you got to know yourself.